Hi, I'm David Briggs, and it's been my pleasure over a long time to be associated with what has become known as the Briggs Opera House. And we are now in what I have chosen to call the Year of Fun. And this is a result of the triumphant transition of Northern Stage out of the Briggs Opera House and into the Barrett Center for the Arts. And what a wonderful thing that is. The other day somebody said, well, this must be bittersweet for you. And I said, it certainly is sweet. I don't know where the bitterness comes from. And he, with empathy, said, well, now you have an empty space. And I said, well, it's not really empty. The Briggs Opera House is quickly becoming a community center for the arts. But in this iteration, unlike what we've been so happy to deal with over the last almost 30 years, is that it's going to feature music, dance, theater, and film. So in today's program, I'd like to introduce you to Movies at the Briggs. And you will see two really inspired and bright young men taking on the notion of film will be part of this multifaceted center, community center for the arts. I think this is very exciting because of the multidisciplinary nature of it. We are already getting calls every single day from the community to use this. And quite frankly, I see it as sort of a staging ground for all the other great venues we have, up to and including, of course, the Barrett Center for the Arts and even Dartmouth College. So the new role for the Briggs Opera House is meant to be something to do with music, dance, theater, and film. It's also a place for special events and fundraisers and all of those related activities. Just very happy to be part of it in this transitional year and hoping to lead and work with the community as we figure out what the, quote, ownership should really be and how we create our future. So I hope you'll consider Movies at the Briggs along with all the other things that will be happening and are happening, and I'll look forward to seeing you there.
So Nico, I was thinking we could talk a little bit about Movies at the Briggs, what it is, and why people should come to it.
MAB Movies at the Briggs is a weekly film festival, Thursday nights at 7 to 10, where the viewers get to come and watch little seen films, little recognized films, and actually get to speak with the filmmakers after the viewing, ask whatever questions they hope to ask, and, hear some lovely anecdotes from the filmmakers about the filmmaking process and what the film means to them personally. And So MAB is basically a collection of films that you and I find that we believe to sort of highlight the side of film that doesn't necessarily see the attention that it may deserve or that other films might kind of monopolize. And the big draw to MAB is also the presence of the directors of the films that we find. And while that is a big draw, it ends up being a rather large challenge for us, as you know.
Yeah.
But it's worth it because people come, they get to watch these films, and then whatever unanswered questions that the film may leave, because let's face it, films always leave unanswered questions, whether they be about the plot itself or how it was made, what have you. Yeah. And it's going to be so nice for people to be able to just look over to their left or right and say, hey, you made this.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah.
What's going on? What was this like? And it's, it adds an entirely new dimension to the experience. And it's sort of the story behind the story, because you have the plot, the story of like the actual plot itself in the film, and then you have the story of how all that got made and the story of what it meant to the director and the toll that it took on the director, and getting to take a peek at all those little kind of folds and alcoves within the actual film itself is crazy fun.
Yeah, yeah. feel like it's especially interesting for, I mean, these first couple of films that we've got are both documentaries.
Yep.
And the stories, you know, from the set of any documentary shoot, they're always insane. I mean, like Tyler was telling us about, you know, this first film, An Honest Liar, where, you know, in the middle of filming, he thinks he's telling one story, and then all of a sudden everything changes. I mean, there's this huge legal battle that just erupts out of nowhere, and that's something that you wouldn't know unless you actually met the director, and it just brings a whole new level to the film. And it's, you know, tells a whole nother story when you know what's going on behind the scenes, which I find pretty interesting.
Oh yes, and it's kind of, you know, Death, or A Band Called Death, our other film. You get sort of that same, you know, double feature kind of action going on there, because you have, you know, the actual film, and then you have, you know, these three guys, these brothers, who are struggling to make their music, and then it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get to see their reactions unfold as it all just kind of happens.
Yeah.
And then you have this film that, you know, adds to that in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have all these post-production footage that shows them kind of in awe of it all, not really being able to process it, but just still being able to make music and love it and not be kind of changed by it.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is on the 29th that we're...
Yep. Band Called Death's on the 29th, and An Honest Liar is the week before on the 22nd, which is
opening night.
Next week, a week from
Next
today.
week. Yeah. 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 Should be good. So you haven't seen An Honest Liar yet?
I have not seen An Honest Liar yet, and you haven't seen A Band Called Death, so we've got an exchange to take place here.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. I'm really looking forward to opening night. I mean, this first film is like such a heavy hitter. It's an awesome story. It's about a guy named James the Amazing Randy, who is he's this insane character. The guy's got to be like 80-something now, in his late 80s. And he has dedicated his entire life to basically outing false prophets and con artists. And it's interesting because the guy himself, he's a magician. But so he lives off of deception. I mean, that's what magic is. But he has this whole dedication to truth where he says, you know, whenever I get out and I put on a show, and this is how he's run his entire life, you know, he gets out there and before he does anything, before he even introduces himself, he says, I'm a fake. You know, what I'm about to do is trick you. I'm about to deceive you. And then he goes about and does his show. And so when he goes and he sees someone who's like these prophets and preachers who are going out there supposedly healing people and doing, you know, these big like dog and pony shows, he despises that, and he just dedicates his entire life to outing them and finding the little bug in their ear. And it's so interesting to kind of peek into this guy's mind. Mm-hmm. And what's even cooler is to be able to meet Tyler Measom, the director, who spent...
Such a cool guy.
Yeah, he was an amazing guy. Yeah, but I mean, he spent, I don't know, a half a year or more with this amazing Randy.
Yep.
And he knows him like nobody else.
Yeah, that's nuts. And it seems like we kind of have this pattern of documentaries.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if that's because, you know, a lot of filmmakers in the area are sort of documentary filmmakers, or at least make films about, you know, the area itself.
Yeah, well,
it's interesting.
There's a huge chunk of independent film that's documentary filmmaking, and I think a lot of documentary films, they never really get the recognition that they deserve. I mean, An Honest Liar just barely made it onto Netflix, and that's after, I don't know how many months going through the festival circuit. Mm. And, you know, it's shown at Tribeca, which is, you know, huge. That was where it premiered. And, you know, after that, it's like, where does it go? Yeah. You know, it's like this film has this big, you know, premiere. And I think the idea with MAB, with Movies at the Briggs, is to find these films, you know, documentaries or feature narratives that
bring them to light.
Yeah, exactly. Bring them to light. You know, these films that have gone through the festival circuit or are going through the festival circuit that should be in front of more people
Yep.
and really give them an entire week's worth of good publicity, talk with the filmmakers, get the inside story from the crew, and then show them in front of a really good tentative audience that's coming for their film.
It's kind of a selfish advantage, but it's kind of the fact that these films aren't really receiving the attention that they should be receiving, that they wholly deserve, is kind of a huge advantage for us, because it makes it so much easier to get a hold of these filmmakers, because they're not all tied up in, other interviews and other screenings and getting sold and getting all this crazy ridiculous distribution. So they have time to talk to two boys from Vermont,
Little old us.
and little old us, and come let us screen their film and talk about it to the audience, which is nice, because these really are, you would, kind of, I feel like the idea, or the widely held idea, is if it's, if we're not seeing it, if it's not, getting advertised, if it isn't big news, then it isn't like worthwhile news.
Right.
Which
It's not true.
totally isn't fair,
Yeah.
and it's all about, a lot of it is just kind of happenstance and where these things happen,
Yeah.
and who happens to see them, and it takes a lot to get a film picked up and distributed. So there are gems hidden all over the place
Yeah.
that just the filmmaker couldn't throw far enough themselves.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, one of the other things I think is really nice about movies at the Briggs is, for filmmakers in particular, not just for our audience, is the fact that, if you take your film and you get into, we'll say, Sundance, this is a huge festival, and it's a huge honor to be able to show your film, short or feature length, at a festival of that stature. But you're going to be showing there with 100 other films. And someone buys tickets for a block of time in which 2 or 3 different films are shown, and they're purchasing tickets because they know that if it's a Sundance film, it's going to be a good one, but they don't know what it is. They don't know what they're going for. They're just kind of hoping and praying and buying tickets.
throw the dice.
Right, exactly. And so by the end of this week-long festival, the audience will remember all these awesome films, and they'll remember that they had a really good time and they saw a lot of good art, but they won't necessarily remember your film.
Yeah.
They'll remember it as a part of this event that they went to and it was cool. With Movies at the Briggs, filmmakers get their film in, and when we pick it for this Thursday night, the entire week leading up to that, from the other Thursday, is dedicated to them.
All about damn.
Yeah, exactly. And our audience knows, that on Thursday night, they log on to the Facebook page and they see, oh, that's the film I just watched. It was really excellent. What's coming up? And every time they check leading up to that next Thursday, there'll be a new thing posted about that film. And when they come to see the movie, they know exactly what they're going for. They know what the story is. They're coming for you specifically as a filmmaker.
Focus.
Yeah, which is something that not a lot of festivals.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
A lot of noise in the festival circuit, and that's not to say bad noise. It's just there's a lot of activity, and it's,
You can get
if
lost.
you're staring into the sun, you're not going to be able to see somebody waving a flashlight in your eyes. So it's kind of like they're both bright, but you're going to have a hard time
Right, exactly. I think that MAB is about
putting out the sun.
putting out the sun.
It's a little dark, not exactly where we want to go, but
I like it.
It works.
We'll put it on the T-shirts.
for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. The other thing that we didn't talk about much was we have every Thursday night we'll do one feature-length film, and that's what gets all the publicity. But the other thing that we're showing to our audience is the short films. Every Thursday we start with one short film, and then we do one feature-length. And short films are another thing that's, even more than a feature-length. Like when you make a short film as a filmmaker, where does it go? Like how do you make money off of this thing? How do you, it goes through the festival circuit and then, it's gone. And there are so many short films that never make it, before a Disney Channel movie or something, like what do people know about shorts? Absolutely nothing.
Even with, even the shorts that we get in, there are so many. We're just one small group of people, and we
Yeah.
get so many short films. Not all of them are great, but a pretty decent handful of them are great. And even with that small number, we're still not able to show all of them,
Yeah.
at least in the typical format that we've been working with the past 6 years.
Yeah.
But now with Movies at the Briggs, with MAB, we can just have a rolling lineup and show these films, because it's not a matter of how are we going to get films? Where are we going to get these films from?
Right.
It's it's like, nope, we could probably accumulate a catalog of a dozen, 2 dozen solid short films, and then just kind of sit on those, and then just kind of throw them out. So they're not throw them out, but present them and give them their due attention.
Yeah. I mean, with the Shredder Film Festival, which is, I guess, kind of where part of this stemmed from, we get in over 150 submissions of short films alone in, 3-4 months that, we're looking for submissions. And these are people that have never, and most of them are not even from New England. I mean, half of them at least are from out of the United States. And then the ones that are in the U.S., almost none of them are from New England. So these are just people that have a short film and they're sending it off to as many festivals as they can. And we still, are, knocking on the 200. I mean, it's insane. And so there's just so many short films out there that are just excellent. And it's difficult because with the Shredder Film Fest, it's only once a year. And just this past year, we upped it to 2 nights just so we could try and fit more films in there. But I mean, out of the 150, 160 submissions that we get, we had to pick like 10 of them to show, which is impossible. But with MAB, we can say, we can accept as many as we want.
Yep.
Because it's ongoing.
Save them for the next couple of months.
Right, exactly. We've got, it can be as long as we want it to, and still keeping, this exclusiveness, still being so personal. You get an entire week dedicated to your short film. Where else is that going to happen?
I don't want to get cocky, but I'm going to say nowhere.
I know it.
Not in Vermont anyway, so we can safely assume that one.
There's nowhere in Vermont like this. I mean, there's no festival like this anywhere close to us, and White River Junction is definitely growing in the arts scene. I mean, this town is coming up, and I think that Movies at the Briggs is the town for it.
Yep.
I mean, and there's a lot of people here that would be very interested in getting that sneak peek into what independent film really is.
It's an empty space, and we're here to fill it.
Yeah.
And it is like, it's a gorgeous area, and it's, most of our classmates from high school, can't wait to get out of here. Gotta get out of this town. And then off to college.
Yeah.
Off to college, everybody went, and then after that, nowhere to be found in the area, which is a shame because it is a beautiful area, and while there are, absences in the local scene, as it were, all that means is, let's make something.
There's room to grow.
There's room to grow, plenty of opportunities to make something and get it out there and have it get picked up because there's space for it.
Yeah.
And I think MAB is our contribution to that, and that is our attempt to add to the local attraction.
Yeah. Movies at the Briggs is dedicated to the independent film experience. I think is a good way of putting it. It's an ongoing film evening every Thursday night starting at 7 o'clock. Each night we're going to show one feature length and one short film. And the cool part for the audience is that the filmmakers are going to be there. There's always going to be a crew member there to introduce their film and to meet and greet with the MAB audience and to do Q&As after the films. So it's a very unique experience that you can't really find anywhere else.
Sounds sweet.
Yeah, I'd pay good money for that. Like $200 a head for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, 10.
10?
10,
yeah, okay.
bring
Yeah,
it
I'll
down.
settle for 10.
10,
That's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
$10, not $200.
The question is, would you pay $10 to come to MAB?
night.
That felt good. That feel good to you, Nico?
I felt shaky, but
That's why
I'll
we're
trust,
taking
I'll trust your faith in me. So it's,
I felt great. Do you want? Can we get a couple pints of beer in here?